The dogs are coming. The YouTube dogs.
The YouTube dogs are coming. So the channel, it's no big deal, but we had a false strike against us for our what was the name of the episode? I can't remember. The one.
It was the one with Piper Perry.
It was the one with Piper Perry.
Yeah.
It was like a joke about criticize. It was a creepypasta criticizing the porn industry. And because it had a link to a Reddit post that had porn in the word, we got flagged for nudity and sexual content and all of that kind of thing, which is ridiculous because you can find porn on YouTube.
Now, are you absolutely positive that's why?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
but it's one of those things where we think a grand YouTube hero, which are 100% trolls, flagged it down, and they believed that person because of the link, possibly.
Maybe.
I think that might.
Maybe the thumbnail, which had Piper Perry with the 5 dudes behind her.
But still, like, nowhere in the video at all is any nudity. So even
Right.
if we're taking it at face value, the strike is completely incorrect.
And as you guys know, as our listeners know, static image. You're looking at a static image right now. It's not a fucking
You're
video.
looking at-
There's no porn going on.
Yep.
I mean, our voices are great, but
Well, yeah.
Our
the whole
voices
thing-
do get people wet. Let's
And
be
we
honest.
often mindfuck each other and our audience. And double, especially.
Oh, poor double.
But there is it's been restored, hasn't it?
Yeah. It was restored almost instantly after we contested it.
Yes. So the episode's been restored and the strike is gone, but this is just a case study for what can happen on these platforms. So in the description, there will be a link to our Creepypasta channel where we narrate our creepypastas and a bunch of great original content. I'm sure with October coming up, we'll have some fun things on there at some point. But also, if this channel gets a strike or gets randomly deleted, that is the first place where we will notify you that, hey, we're gone, something happened. And also, there is a Twitter account that we use for Fear Fiction and our Creepypasta channel. So follow that as well. Just having backups to, get in touch with us because you don't know what's going to happen.
And before we notify the public, like before we would tell everybody, like about 30 days before we say, what happened, I'll be posting a description of what exactly occurred on my Patreon to patrons only. So my Patreon is in the link below.
Definitely.
But it was just annoying because it was just like, oh god, do we have to contest with this? Because like up until this point, it's not been too bad, but YouTube at every turn has been screwing us. We look at the numbers of how much listenership we're getting, how long people are staying around, and it's just excellent. It's just really good for the number of subscribers we have. And that's just like, okay, so you're recommending us to other people, right? And then we'll get like a roundup every month and it'll be like, yeah, you've had people listen to you for 1,000,000 bazillion minutes. You have 1 new subscriber.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been literally for the past 3 months. It's just
Yeah.
like, you get 1 new subscriber. You had a bagillion views compared to 1 new subscriber. It's like, thanks.
Yeah. And, the thing is, YouTube says, supposedly, that audience retention is a big factor in everything. We retain our audiences like
Crazy.
like nothing else. I want to make a really stupid analogy, but I won't to keep it serious. We retain viewers, but YouTube doesn't seem to give a shit. It's like, usually people are listening to the full fucking episode. But
I've seen
for an
well,
hour,
I've seen multiple people say, I just re-listened to the entire backlog,
Yeah.
which number one is insane, and thank you, because that's a lot of hours to listen back to us. But, if YouTube is really subscriber advertiser driven, not saying that, oh my God, I want advertisers, but how are we not being promoted? We literally have hours and hours and hours of listenership every day.
I think part of it is that we're not monetized, which is like,
sure.
not that we could, we're not at the level yet where we could be anyway, but I think theoretically if we did reach the point where we could monetize, and we did monetize, then YouTube would be like, "Welcome to the family. Let's put these videos in front of a few people, see how it goes." But when you're not monetized, why do they care? Why would they promote it? They'll promote monetized things.
That being said, YouTube also said they're going to start putting ads on videos regardless of monetization.
Right. They already have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
At the end of the day, though, we're not like power hungry. We do this because we enjoy it. It's something that we enjoy, just chatting every week doing this. It's what we do as friends, and we're glad that you join us for it. So it's not like it's more just like, fuck, dude, like other people could enjoy this too. It's like everyone in our community is like so chill and nice, and we have such a good time doing this. It's like, well, just share it around a little more. Yeah. Could you do that? And it's not like we don't want you to go to like your friends and be like, okay, but like, did you listen to the Fear Fiction podcast yet? Like, could you just do that, YouTube, instead of like making us like work so hard to just be like, it's like a party. It's like, I just want people to be invited, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if everybody shows up. If I invite like 100 people and like 20 show up, that's fine. I just want everybody to be invited.
Yeah. I really can't, understand why there is undoubtedly a demographic out there, and yes, it's a niche of a niche, but there's tons more people out there that have the same interests as us, as revisiting Creepypasta, years later. Right. Obviously there are, and they're probably in some significant number. So they are out there.
And we do have pretty much something for everybody. Like, if you are into... the prerequisite is if you're into internet horror, Mm-hmm. But if you're into internet horror at all, we've got the story, if you just want to hear an interesting story. If you want to hear critique and, some kind of logic about, what could be better about the story, what makes a story not work, why a story is really good, in our minds, our opinions, we've got that. And for all the, all the kids out there, we've got, poopy and borderline racism, So.
For all you edgelords out there, you also have a home.
Yeah.
If we just did the just chatting thing on Twitch, we would get banned after the second video, but it would get a lot of attention because people also say they would love just to hear us talk about random bullshit.
Right.
So there really is something for everybody.
And I should point out to YouTube, I said borderline racism, as in, like towing the line and to be funny, not, actual, you don't care? Okay, sorry. All right, we're flagged. This video's gone.
Well, that's the entire point of, like, edgy humor, quote unquote, is not to go over the line, but to recognize where the line is and point at it and be like, look at the line. Right.
It's a form of, if you do, if you do the edgy humor correctly, it's like a form of self-deprecation. Where you're willing to take that bullet to make the audience laugh at how terrible you are, like for saying something. So you're willing to step in front of that bullet and just to be like, wouldn't it be funny if I said this? I don't actually believe it. Ha ha ha, and then everybody laughs and you're like, hey, look, they're laughing. Cool, I did it,
A lot of our jokes are subversion of, like, bad things.
Right.
And us ridiculing the bad thing because it deserves to be ridiculed.
Yeah. And there's always the bullet because people don't fucking get it usually.
Well, but, like, at the same time, I would say that most people kind of understand that as we're saying it.
Right.
Like, I think we're pretty explicit in that.
Yeah. All right,
well, that's that. Please do check out the links below, follow all of that stuff, and blah blah blah, because it's more like I don't want to like be predatory and say like, oh, it's like a parasocial thing, but like it's not like a giant community, and like if we do this every week and it's just a fun thing to do. If that was taken away from us, boy, that would be shitty. If we had to like re-grab everybody and be like, hey, come back to the party. Man, that would fucking suck, and we just don't want that to happen, so it's a contingency plan.
Yeah. We could, we'll, if we have to, we'll find another home, but it would be a lot of work to kind of build that back up.
And, we're trying to build, not trying too hard, but sort of like a minor effort to try to build, FearFic into something that's like, an actual thing that, people can have a home in it and people can, have a place to be or a space to think within or whatever that, isn't, it's either creepypasta or no sleep or SCP or get the fuck out, you don't belong here. You're not following the guidelines of this one specific thing, get the fuck out, So
it's a also a place that's positive about creepypasta, no matter how much we shit on it. And it seems like a lot of big YouTubers just want to like point at creepypasta and be like, remember when we thought this was scary and now it's bad?
Yeah.
And we're trying to like for all of our shitting on it show like, nah, it's actually good and there's a reason that we like this stuff.
Well, you see a lot of people either narrating creepypasta or critiquing creepypasta or doing podcasts about creepypasta where you've got a lot of people who want to be, like actors, like voice actors. You got people who want to be like filmmakers, directors, different things like that. You don't see a lot of writers.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of people who write the fucking stories, critiquing the stories and looking at them from a perspective of somebody who's involved in the production of and the ongoing history of, this evolving kind of art form.
There's a lot of taking advantage of and not a lot of appreciation.
Yeah, and speaking of writing creepypastas, you can go over to youtube.com/creepypasta and hear the stories that we wrote.
Yay! Do it. You won't. No balls.